It's interesting.
Wonderful.
So
Welcome everyone to our first PDAC meeting of 2021.
Yeah.
Wishing all of you a very happy new year. I hope all of you are doing well. You're healthy and staying safe. Wishing the best for you and your family. I am going to pretend that all of you are here just for a PDAC meeting, and that's why we have over 150 people registered today. But I know we are all very excited to hear from our 11 school board candidates tonight. It's really wonderful for us as PDAC for the first time to do this type of discussion and to welcome all the candidates. And on behalf of PDAC, I would like to thank all of them for taking the time tonight and for even running. We know what a sacrifice it is, how much time you spend into it. You're doing this as a volunteer position, and we know that all of you care for the best for our children. So thank you for putting your name in the race. Ramon, if you could do the next slide, please. Up 1 to 4. Yep, perfect. So we're going to flip the order a little bit today, and I'm going to make all the announcements first so that we can spend all of our time with our school board candidates. But this is a diagram for all of you that are new to just know where to go if you have a concern. Obviously, when we're in person and in the buildings, you will be able to just meet with some of your teachers and assistant principals. But for now, reach out to them by email. Maybe if you need a virtual meeting over Zoom, they would be probably very happy to accommodate that as well. It's different for elementary, middle, and high school. PDAC, our whole team is always here to help you with any issues that you have. But I can tell you from over a decade of experience now doing this work, your staff, your teachers, your administrators really care. And if you are having an issue at a building level, they do want to hear about it and try to resolve it. So please do reach out to them. But again, if there are any blockers ever, you are more than welcome to reach out to our team. And I'm going to quickly introduce myself again because a lot more people have joined. My name is Saili Joshi. I chair the Parent Diversity Advisory Council for District 204. We have our entire team here helping us. I don't do this alone at all. I just show up at the meetings most of the time. Everyone is doing all the work behind the scenes. So my team, please wave so people can see you. Most of us have a blue background, except Ginger, I think today. That's okay. And we even got some t-shirts after 7 years. So we organized ourselves. So here is the agenda for tonight. We have a special guest tonight, and we're just going to listen to him for a few minutes because it's really a wonderful story. Uzair Hussain is a graduate of our district, and I don't know if a lot of you saw an article about him in the Tribune recently, but he has developed a platform to teach empathy, something that is extremely important to teach children and adults all the way through our lifetimes. He received a grant, or our district received a grant from Intel to bring this software to our district. And we're going to just, after I do some of the announcements, we're going to have him speak for about 5 to 7 minutes to just give you a little glimpse of the program. Okay, next slide, Ramon. We've done the slide. I do want to always remind you that we have an incredible school board right now that is very committed to equity in education. This year, they adopted a Board of Education equity statement, and this is it. You can have a couple of seconds to read it. It is on our Facebook page. It is on the district website, but this is something that we will remind everyone of every meeting. Next slide. The PDAC promise, this is our promise to you of what we do. And since we do have so many people here, I will read it out loud. PDAC promises to engage in active conversation concerning issues that are important to you. We promise to stand alongside you when you need an advocate. We promise to work with the district to ensure all families and students in our community feel welcomed in their respective school building and in their classroom. We promise to continue to bring awareness to the meaning of equity. And most importantly, we promise to advance District 204's commitment to equity and educational excellence always. That last line is also our mission statement. Next slide, please. So just last week, the school board had a equity goal. So this is a board goal, and it was adopted. And they really have taken a position of seeing all of their goals through an equity lens. So I did want to just post this here as well. Also, this will be posted after the meeting on our Facebook page, which you can follow to get more information. And obviously, it is on the IPSD website as well. So I welcome all of you. You have a month left to download the book or read the book, any version of the book that you want, or just join us even if you haven't read it. We still don't have a date for our February meeting. This whole year, I apologize, we have no calendar because we are reacting to what parents need and want. And right now we're reacting to the authors, Jason Reynolds and Dr. Kendi, because we will take them any day or any evening that they are free. So we're working on that right now, and hopefully within a week or so we'll have an answer for you. But these are two wonderful books. Stamped from the Beginning by Dr. Kendi is more of an adult version of the book. The other book is more of a YA version. Both are excellent. Both talk about a lot of the topics that we will cover in our book club meeting. So please do if you have a chance, please do pick them up. I did want to announce as well that IPPC is having their school board virtual candidate forum on March 2nd at 7 p.m. So if you are available and you would like to hear more from our candidates, please do attend this. There will be more information coming out from the district. This is run by the League of Women Voters. They do an excellent job every year at this forum. Next slide. And then now I would like to invite Uzair to our meeting. And if you can just pin him or have him speak, and then we will get started with our agenda.
All right. Thank you so much, Sally, for that introduction. And thank you so much for the invitation as well. I'm going to start my 7-minute timer now.
You're good. Thank you, Uzair.
And actually, you know, I'm going to spend the first 30 seconds, or let's finish it off with a moment of silence for the parents and elders that have actually passed and have, you know, instilled values in us from wherever we come from. So including my parents as well that have passed on. So we're just going to finish the first 30 seconds on that. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate that. So yeah, who am I? I actually can't see myself. Let me see if I can go into gallery mode so I can make sure I see. There we go. So yeah, I figured, you know, what do we have? We have about 6 minutes left. So let's build a little bit of empathy first, right? How did I get here? Who am I? So my parents brought my older brother and I, who also graduated from Wabanzi Valley in 03. We came to the States in 1990. I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and went to CPS, then Downers Grove, 87. But Longwood Elementary was where I really started in IPSD. And from there, went to Hill Middle School, shout out Mike Razak, was my principal at the time. Then I went to Still Middle School for 8th grade, and I graduated out of the first class in Still and went to Wabanzi. Completed Wabanzi on time, definitely a lot of ups and downs, learnings, but made it through. And then went to University of Illinois at Chicago to study biological sciences. Um, Took a little bit longer than anticipated. I ended up actually going off to California in 2011 to pursue my professional growth. And I came back to complete my degree in 2019, actually. So that was a big win for me. Through this time, in IPSD time frame, it wasn't just the schooling. I was part of Islamic Center of Naperville. I did Saturday school over there. All of my friends were all skin colors, genders, names, accents. And, when I think of equity, it's a voice for everyone. It's not just, you know, and I'm a person of color, right? I'm the immigrant, but it's really a voice for everyone and the equal voice. So that's a little bit about me. We can always dig into these things privately as needed. But if we could go to the next slide, please. So here's what my team and myself were working on right now. Over the past 10 years, learned quite a bit from design thinking, social and emotional learning, you guys are quite aware of, agile in the professional world, where we do things like stand-ups and share our blockers. Siley, I noticed you also use that term right in the beginning. I always pick up on that. But the problem with our blockers, anxieties, issues that are going on at home or in work, wherever it is, it's not that we're all going through these traumas or events. It's that they're going unheard. When that gets bottled up, that can turn into all types of outcomes that are usually not desired. And when you think about a large district such as IPSD, yeah, it's one thing to kind of gather this type of data, but then how do you organize it? What do you do with it? How do you empower others with it as opposed to just throwing another chart in someone's face? And so our solution to this is broken down into 3 steps. District Zero, our team, we've built a web application. It's accessible through your internet browser for the students here at the district and the teachers, administrators through the Chromebooks, any desktop as well. First step is a self-awareness survey system. It's very hard to get people to share their problems. And then how do you gain their trust to keep sharing information? It requires a feedback loop and empathy and short assessments and all types of things to make that work. So first step is students and teachers understanding themselves. Second step is resolving the blockers that arise. So through these survey systems, few days in, few weeks in, once people start to understand the feedback loop and the trust that's being built, then they start to attempt the resources that are given to them. We use artificial intelligence and technology to help that system to recommend really meaningful resources such as articles or videos or even local events. And then finally, it's a commitment to growth. Reports are only as impactful as your commitment and your intent. And so, really making it simple to understand for people, not overwhelming with charts and data, and to produce that organic focus and grit. And last slide, please. So here's our mission. It's quite a challenging mission that we're on. We're very lucky to be able to work with my home district, right? And just really make this we call scalable, right? But here in the Midwest, we know that we're proud of our strict rules and our process and getting to real meaningful outcomes. And so first is all about trust, building trust with community members like yourselves, parents, teachers, superintendents, board members, and then start to collect that, what we call unmanageable emotion or a blocker. You use technology, artificial intelligence to analyze this de-identified data. So that way we can predict before it happens. You could imagine someone that is feeling grogginess from not eating the right breakfast or having the right nutrition, you can start to predict ahead dietary ailments or other emerging issues well earlier ahead of time. Solutions are all about that trust and feedback loop. So, we've all been through those yearly, quarterly surveys that don't necessarily have a response or a feedback right away. And so we have to process these blockers very quickly, dynamically, and give solutions immediately. And our goal is to be deployed within 85% of K-12 schools in the United States over the next 5 years. It is a lofty goal, but there's a lot of issues that are going on in the market, and with the support of partners like Intel and the grant and learnings from large school districts and building empathy and trust, we'll be able to achieve this goal. So, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about us. I don't know if responses are allowed, but we're accessible through our website. There's a support channel. There's a lot of FAQ support tutorials available. And we're building more and more transparency around how we work with data, technology, and to instill and ensure that trust moving forward. So thanks again, Siley, and thank you again, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Azair. And welcome back to our district. I always love to see our kids, and I'll call you a kid because I'm older than you, return back, and do the work here. So whether it's a teacher or whether it's even a second generation of parents that come, it's a wonderful thing to see. So thank you for your work, and we're looking forward to learning more about this. So perfect. And thank you for staying within your time as well.
I'm good with time boxing.
That's great. So Rahman, if we can get started. So we are going to get started on the school board candidate discussion now. And I wanted to go through the rules. To let all of you know, this is the first time that PDAC is doing this. We thought that it is important to hear from our candidates about issues surrounding equity in our district. And so we invited all of them, and we're very, very pleased and thankful that all 11 of them have accepted our invitation tonight. So the candidates will be introduced alphabetically, with any late arriving candidates who arrive before the first question is asked introduced at the end. Candidates will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. After that, the first question round will begin. Anyone arriving after the first question round begins will appear in the lineup as planned and miss their introduction window. But we don't have that issue because everyone is here. Questions will be asked to groups of 3 or 4 candidates, which have already been grouped alphabetically. The order that candidates respond has also been planned alphabetically in advance. Questions for each group will be selected at random from a pool of questions provided in advance to the candidates. All of tonight's questions relate to equity. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer the questions posed in the group, but not every question will be posed to each candidate. Tonight's program will be recorded. By participating, participants agree not to separately record or use recorded portions of tonight's events for any public purpose. Candidates agree to not directly question other candidates or interrupt a speaker, but to talk to the moderator or audience during the event. No questions will be taken from the audience. We encourage our audience to visit candidate websites and social media pages. All of them have been listed on our PDAC Facebook page. We will also post the websites and the Facebook pages in the chat of all of the candidates as they speak, if we have them. And we will continue to update that information on our page as well. So the next slide, please. This is the order, the alphabetical order that we are going to start the introductions. And so we just wanted to let you know ahead of time. Next slide. This is the questions that we have presented to our candidates. Since not every candidate will have the chance to reply to all of these, I encourage our candidates on their own social media pages or on their websites to post their answers if they are comfortable, so that others can read all of the ones that you were not asked tonight. Next slide. And these are the groupings of the groups. We will start the first question with this group, and then for the second question, a set of questions, we will reverse the order alphabetically. Okay, so we are back to the first slide with all the names. And then Rahman, if you can pin Ginger and Shannon first. Ginger is our timekeeper. And because she has preschool children, she also had different colored construction paper and popsicle sticks. So she has made a very high-tech system, and she will show the candidates a yellow, a green card to go, a yellow at 1 minute, a yellow card at 30 seconds. There we go. And to stop. And we do appreciate if you would stop when you see that red card, just finish up your thought, and so that we can be fair to every candidate. Okay, so if we can pin Shannon and Ginger, we're ready to go, Rahman, with our first introduction.
Hello, should I just start now?
Yeah, so Rahman, are you able to pin her?
Yeah, both Ginger and Shannon has been pinned now.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Shannon, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, PDAC, for hosting tonight's forum and for the work you do here in the community. My name is Shannon Adcock, and my husband and I have 3 children and 1 giant sheepdog who we consider to be our 4th child. I have operated a photography and graphic design business for the last 12 years while actively participating in the PTA, our church, and the community. The challenges of the last year undeniably shined a harsh light on national and local leadership. We as parents and a community made it a priority to assess the decisions that were impacting our lives, including that of our children's education. And after seeing openings on the board and after sincere consideration, I opted to run with the goal of bringing a parent perspective and also a long-term investment in the district, as our youngest is in kindergarten. Jay Shetty said, "Go the extra mile, it's never crowded." Yet District 204 has 9 new school board members and 2 incumbents running who challenge that notion. And I think we should absolutely celebrate the robust sense of civic duty and volunteerism in our community. I look forward to connecting with you tonight and to the prospect of serving on the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Our next speaker is Lori. Lori, there you go. I see her now.
I made it. So thank you for hosting us. I am running for re-election. I was elected in 2017 and currently serve as the board secretary. Naperville has been my home for the last 40 years, and my 2 children were fortunate to attend the schools in District 204 from kindergarten through high school graduation. 2,340 is the number of days your children are in public schools during their kindergarten through 12th grade years. It goes by fast. I want to make sure each one of those days brings enlightenment and joy of learning to our students. I will advocate for actions that give each of our students both academic and social emotional support to inspire them to achieve their greatest. To back this, the board has made social emotional learning and equity district goals and created an equity cabinet position. We all remember a teacher that sparked our interest. We need to give that inspirational opportunity to all our students by having superior educators and administrators equipped with resources to deliver a best-in-class experience. I will govern and protect our district funding to ensure proper allocations and fiscal responsibility. I understand and appreciate the importance of education. My father did not believe in girls going to school, but fortunately, or to college. My mother had a different opinion. I graduated with a bachelor's in computer engineering from University of Michigan, one of the top engineering schools in the country, and I have an MBA from Benedictine. My background includes leading large, diverse global business and technical teams at the various forms of Bell Labs and Nokia. During my career, I led a $1 billion procurement program and was responsible for a $250 million investment program. I retired in 2018 to devote more time to school board responsibilities and district functions. Districts are very complex and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And also our board is very active in being active in the community. So I thank you again for allowing us to introduce ourselves and having this forum. I bring a proven track record of board experience, my career development accomplishments, and extensive volunteer activities. I hope I have your vote on April 6th.
Thank you, Lori. All right. And so we will move on to the next candidate. And that's Allison. All set. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having us. My name is Allison Fosdick. I've lived in Naperville for over 25 years. My husband and I have 4 children, a college junior, a NEQA sophomore, a Gregory 6th grader, and a Springbrook 4th grader. I earned my undergraduate degree from Miami University in International Studies and my graduate degree in English from Northern Illinois University. I work part-time currently as an English professor at Aurora University, and I'm blessed to have time to dedicate to be involved and to invest in our community. I most recently served as a PTA president, an art awareness volunteer. I'm the current vice president of the NEQA Orchestra Parents Association, and annually I'm a cast member in Naperville's community theater productions. Sadly, not this year, but hopefully next year. Running for school board has been on my heart for some time. During the 2018 board vacancy, I did submit a letter of interest, and though I was not selected, my interest has only grown since that time. I was raised with the idea that with privilege and opportunity comes responsibility to give back. And that's what I'd like to do on the school board. This has been a really rough year for everybody. And as Mr. Rogers said, in times of crisis, look for the helpers. And I want to be one of those helpers. My goals for the school board are to strengthen our students' social emotional learning, especially during this difficult time. I'd really like to grow our community's focus on equity in order to work on closing that achievement gap. And finally, I'd really like to work on increasing communication and collaboration between the school district and the community, the parents, the students, so that we all feel supported, heard, understood, and included. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Our next candidate to speak is Saba Hadir. I think you're muted, Saba.
Saba, you're in mute.
Oh, well, that's a great start. I started with my...
You're good now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the PDAC team, for organizing this wonderful forum for all the candidates. I want to thank all the candidates for working so hard for this volunteer position, as Sally said at the beginning. I want to thank all the audience that have shown up on a Thursday evening to listen and learn about the candidates tonight. My name is Saba Heather. I'm a wife and a mother of 2 beautiful and kind elementary and middle school kids. I'm an independent business owner and a proud Girl Scouts mama. I have a master's degree in wildlife science, and I've worked in various national parks and forest reserves, trying to protect endangered wildlife and protecting our precious environment. After having kids, however, I realized that I can either raise animals at home or I can raise animals in the jungle. So I decided to raise the animals at home. And I started my business in the health and wellness industry. My professional life of teaching and training people in the health and wellness industry for over a decade has given me an opportunity to interact people from diverse backgrounds, socially, culturally, and economically. What motivated me to run is a desire to serve and give back. I have received so abundantly from the 204 community. My family has received so abundantly from the 204 community that I want to be able to give back and serve. The best way I can do that is to affect change in the lives of our children who are our future. I want to work to make sure we are allocating resources to our students in strategic and equitable fashion and inspire all students to achieve their greatest potential. I want to solve all our problems working from a place of collaboration, compassion, and empathy. I want to use my experience of running a business, raising children, teaching, and all of that to further improve the School District 204. Thank you so much. I look forward to continuing this discussion with you even after this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Saba.
Hey,
All
Shelly,
right.
before you
Yes.
go, just give me a minute, Shelly. Hey, candidates, like, I hope you guys can look at Ginger when you guys are talking, because she's the one who's waving the yellow, red, and green.
I'll turn off my
Everybody can
screen,
see
Raman.
Ginger.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, thank you. So I think we are good, guys. Let's move on. So yeah,
Okay.
Shelly,
Excellent.
next candidate.
Thanks, Ramon. Our next candidate is Robert Harris.
Okay, thank you everyone for putting this forum together. Again, I'm Robert Harris, and my wife and I are residents of the Indian Prairie School Board District 204 for 18 years. Additionally, we are members of the DuPage AME Church. I'm a community volunteer for the Red Cross, the Chicago Public School System, and the Department of Agriculture. I come from a family of dedicated teachers and servant leaders committed to excellence and also evidence-based results. For over the past 20 years, I have served in various educational leadership roles, K through 12 with Chicago Public School System as a reading mentor, community colleges, and also university capacities. That experience includes managing people, processes, and teacher evaluations, curriculum design also. Today, I'm employed at Lewis University as a program director and assistant professor in the College of Business. My duties and membership and student services include University co-chair of the Arthur Schmidt Foundation. That's a high school program that provides scholarship to high school students, the Alpha Phi Alpha Educational Committee, okay, and many others. I have 4 platform issues that hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about. Focus on students, student services, managing district resources, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. My education, I have a PhD from Benedictine University, an MS from Roosevelt University, and a Bachelor's of Arts from The Ohio State University. So serving as an Indian Prairie School Board 204 member is a direct connection to my K through 12 and university experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Supna.
I believe a person's name can be viewed as a barrier or a bridge in getting to know someone. With a foreign sounding name, born and raised in Central Illinois, where people didn't look like me, I embraced seeing my name as a bridge rather than a barrier. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sapna Jain, and my name Sapna means dream in Hindi. Dream is what my parents came from India with in the late 1960s in hopes for better educational opportunities for their future family. I was a beneficiary of that dream, and my community invested in me. And so it is with those values that I now am running for school board, because I too hope to offer in a larger capacity to my district in hopes to help the children of District 204. If you look at the 3 critical roles in my life, you will find that education is the common denominator that exists that I have in the role of a parent, as an educator, and as an advocate. I'm a parent to 2 boys, a 3rd grader at Welch, a 7th grader at Scullin, who I hope that I'm educating to be respectful, to be critical thinkers and contributors to society, and who educate me on a regular basis to be present and to appreciate the little things in life. My day job is an educator in higher education. I've been working at the college level for over 12 years now, And although I started my career in the legal industry, I moved into academia and am now a professor in the communication department at North Central College and also the director of the Speaking Center, the fourth of its kind in the state. As an advocate in 2005, I was the founder and artistic director of a nonprofit dance troupe that uses dance as a medium to bring awareness on social issues. So when you know SEPNA, you know that education is involved. It's at the heart of everything that I do, and I hope to earn your vote for the upcoming election, and I look forward to sharing my views on the importance of equity in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna. And I apologize. Thank you, IPSD, for training my kids on how to fix Zoom issues. I was bumped off and had trouble getting back on. So thank you to my team for stepping in while I was gone. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Next person is Marina. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Marina Kosak, and I would like to thank PDAC for bringing us all together this evening. I'm excited to be here tonight to share with you my background as I seek one of the open IPSD 204 school board seats. I've been a resident of Naperville for almost 14 years. We moved here because of the award-winning schools. Our oldest is a sophomore in college now, and we have a son who's a junior in high school. I am passionate about serving kids, and that has fueled my career for the past 25 years. I served as a classroom teacher for 10 years, and for the past 15 years, I've held administrative roles as a dean, assistant principal, and principal at both middle school and high school levels. Throughout my career, I have always put kids first. I have led schools to look at and analyze social, emotional, and academic data and create interventions needed based on that data. Fiscal responsibility is an important facet of the school board. As the principal of one of the largest high schools in the state, I oversaw a substantial school budget, which included a 3-year, $60 million construction project. I understand how budgets work in the world of education. Beyond understanding how a school functions day to day, I have worked with several school board members, and I've participated in my fair share of board meetings. I understand the procedures from both sides of the table. The school board members that I want to emulate were ones that were visible at events, asked questions, and were transparent in their communication. More importantly, their number one priority were the kids. I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of educational staff and worked for thousands of kids to help them achieve their full potential. I now want to bring those lessons to serve my IPSD 204 community and ensure that we continue to provide the best education to all of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Our next candidate will be Mei Liang. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Hi, everyone. I'm Mei Liang. I've been a nurse in China, England, and this country. I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. My family moved to this area in year 2005. My 2 kids graduated from Neuqua Valley High School a few years ago. In the past 15 years, as a public health nurse, I help teen parents to graduate high school and clients with mental health conditions. I pray with moms in District 204 for many years, so I understand what students and parents are facing and their struggles. In the past 3 years, as a board director of Saddle Creek Homeowners Association, I ensure a safe and healthy environment for hundreds of homes by being a good leader and a team player. I have volunteered and served patients without insurance at Bolingbrook Christian Health Center for over 10 years. As a school board member, I will focus on holistic growth of all students, especially in emotional and mental development. I will advocate collaboration with families and community. I will promote teacher accountability and exercise responsible financing and budgeting Two main reasons motivate me to run for the school board. Firstly, in the past few years, I heard sad news about students committing suicide in this area. Secondly, many years ago, I knew a smart girl who loved school and reading when she was at elementary school, but she dropped out from high school due to lack of family guidance and support. My heart was broken. I want to do something.
Liliane, your time is up now, so if you could just end it.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for your comments. Our next candidate will be Rajesh. If you can unmute yourself, there you go. You're all set.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank PDAC for the invitation and the opportunity to speak. Sally, thank you. Thank you for the great work you're doing at PDAC. And thank you for inviting all of us. And thank you for hosting this, as you said, for the first time. I'm happy to see the diversity of candidates running. We're 11 of us. We all have different backgrounds, different cultures from different countries. That's a thing to celebrate. And that's what we're here for. That's what PDAC stands for. So let's have an applause for that. So my name, I'm Rajesh Narayan. I have been in Naperville since 2007. We moved, we were in downtown Chicago, and we decided to move to Naperville in 2007 because we decided to expand our family, and it was a great school district. In 2008, my beautiful daughter was born. She's 12 years old now, and she's in Scullin, and she has been my inspiration to run for the school board, to contribute as much as I can through my ideas, through my efforts to the school board. My wife, Shanu, and we have been married for 20 years. I have a master's in economics from University of Maryland, College Park. And I moved to Chicago in Chicago area in 1995, my first job. I'm closely involved with the community. I'm an HOA president. Me and my wife founded and volunteered IACA. It's Indian American Cultural Association. It was founded to bring Indians and Americans together and introduce cultural events and Indian cultures to Americans. I'm also a board member at FIA, which is Federation of Indian Association. It's an outreach program, and it's most famously known for organizing Indian Independence Parade. I've volunteered my wife and daughter at charities.
Rajesh, I'm sorry your time is up for the 2 minutes, but you will have a chance to speak again later.
Thank you.
But thank you for your comments. Our next candidate is Kader. Welcome, Kader.
Hey, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Thank you, PDAC, and thanks to pretty much all the parents who are actually attending today. Really appreciate the opportunity. So my name is Kader Sakaria. The easy way to put it is welcome back, Kader. I think half of you will never forget me again, right? So it's a 1970 TV show. So I'm excited to kind of be here. I have been a Naperville resident and a District 204 resident for the last 24 years. Lived in the same house here in Naperville, left for an expired assignment, came back again. I'm proud of two things, right? The first is I'm proud of a substitute teacher of District 204. That's my wife, Yasmin. And I have proud 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son. And all of them went, at least one of them is actually currently a freshman in high school. One went to Vanziali. She is in a 7-year program, in a medical program. And my son, it was in White Eagle School. My background is professionally, I'm a CTO of a higher education organization. And what made me want to run for this was primarily when I was dealing with presidents and with a lot of the chancellors of these universities, they had 2 major concerns. So one is graduation of high school across the nation started going down. And second is the kids joining college has significantly gone down as well, which was alarming for me with my kids and this District 204 kids. I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to be able to kind of give them the right equitable education so that we can all be successful together, both as parents and students. So that's the key reason I wanted to run for this board. Thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Kader, for your comments. And we are going to end this round by welcoming Susan.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank Siley and the PDAC board for hosting this candidates forum this evening. Obviously, you know you have the distinction of kicking off the first of many forums for this election cycle. Thank you to everyone who is considered, who's tuned in this evening. We really appreciate it. I'm Susan Taylor Deming, first term 204 school board member. And as a member of our board, I've been proud to represent our students, staff, and all district constituents over the past 4 years. My husband Albert and I have raised 2 phenomenal daughters in Naperville, both proud graduates of Waubonsie Valley. Professionally, I've worked corporately and in the not-for-profit sector. I've served as a substitute teacher both in Aurora and Naperville, and have now combined my skills and serve as the Director of Leadership Giving for Elgin Community College, where I have the chance to help students achieve their educational dreams. My undergraduate degree is from Rice University, and my MBA is in management from Columbia University. 4 years ago, I shared my commitment to education excellence every day for every 204 student. As I seek re-election in 2021, my promise is to continue to serve and advocate for all students, staff, and district constituents through an equitable, compassionate, and inclusive lens. I'm proud of my accomplishments with the board. Individually, I have co-chaired our district's equity statement process. I've helped increase preschool opportunities for all students in our district, and we've helped ensure that enrollment for underrepresented students has increased in AP and honors courses. Of course, the health and safety of our school, of our families and school children have been challenged this year, but all decisions that I have made regarding us returning to school with the board has been with health and safety in mind. Championing our students and educators is vital as we move forward. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and I ask for your vote on April 6th.
Thank you, Susan, for your comment. So wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. And thank you, Ginger, for being our timekeeper today. Our next round, we'll start with our questions. We will start with Group A, which is Susan Taylor Deming, Kader Sakaria, Rajesh Narayan, and Yanmi Mei Liang. So if we could have those 4 pinned, and then Shelley, in our very high-tech way, is going to put her hand into a basket and pull out the first question.
Thanks, Siley. Okay, our first question for the evening. What has most influenced your views on equity?
So we'll
It's a great
start
one to start with.
Yeah, so we'll start with Susan on this one.
The areas that have influenced my views on equity truly are, first of all, having been an African-American female being raised here in the United States. I've lived in, I'm an Army brat, so I've lived in Europe and I've lived in the States, but predominantly all of the schools that I've attended, I went to school with people who did not look like me. And corporately, as well as business-wise, I've worked in arenas where I am often the one or only person that looks like me. So that has helped me certainly garner a great deal of empathy for persons of all colors, creeds, religious backgrounds, but as well for different areas that we face with our students, also regarding gender challenges and gender issues that some of our students and families are dealing with. So the things that have primarily tried to that I have kept in mind as I work and work on behalf of our students is to ensure that I have a listening ear, a open mind as I listen to staff, families, and students, and compassion and empathy. So those are areas that are I feel are extremely important as I continue to work on equity issues in our district.
Thank you. Next is Kader.
Thank you. It's a great, excellent question, because I wanted to kind of reflect back on, because I'm an immigrant, from India, and my kids are first generation kids who are actually growing in this system. And when I was reflecting back on this, I actually was reminded of two things. So one is when I was actually joined a workforce back in India, and I was, interesting enough, I was the only male in that team. And I was not given an opportunity to work on a project because I was not senior enough, right? So for me, equity from different, it doesn't have to be just color, creed, but also experience as well, which put me in a tough spot because I was the right candidate and I had all the skills, but because I didn't have the experience, which actually was not given an opportunity to go through, right? Which had a significant impact on me, because equity, that's one thing that we all, irrespective of color, creed, or experience, we should be able to get different ideas, diverse ideas into our decision-making process, so that it kind of creates that inclusive view that we want to bring in, right? So that had a significant impact in my thought process. So that has been a guiding principle as far as kind of working my way through within both professional and on my personal, character building. One of the things that I actually was really proud and wanted to do was I worked with the Chicago Public Schools and Chicago Community Schools, where we work with underprivileged kids when I was in corporate organization to bring them into internship programs to kind of show them what they can actually be capable and what they can do in a corporate organization, and give them much more exposure that they would normally not get, right? So that actually, was a good, for me, a really live learning experience to bring that perspective in, which, because I was not given an opportunity, helped me to get people, kind of an equitable way of bringing them into this mix.
Thank you, Kader. Thank you for your comments. Next is Rajesh.
Hey, Rajesh, you're in mute.
I'll start with an anecdote early in my life. When I came to Chicago, I made a friend who was of Indian ethnicity, but was born in the US, and he had never been to India. So upon my encouragement, he went to India for the first time at the age of 22. When he came back, I asked him, how did he find the trip to India? And I thought, he'll talk the usual like everybody does, that he saw the poverty and he was appalled by that and this and that. But his answer amazed me. He said, Raj, I was so happy. For the first time in my life, I looked around and everybody looked like me. And that was such an emotional statement, because when you are a person with a different background, a different color, you don't realize how much impact it has on us. And that's where we need to promote diversity, where nobody looks at based on the color we have, based on our background, based on our different culture. We are looked at as equal. And to support what Kader said, an immigrant like me has to be 10 times better at work to get a promotion. The one other thing that has influenced my views on equity is the history that we have gone through as Indian community, which is not widely known because we're not taught that. Indians have also benefited a lot with the civil rights movement. It's not known, Chinese and Indians, they first came to US in 1890s to build the railroad. Within a few years, an Exclusion Act was passed to ban immigrants from Asia because we were different. In 1920, a court in Oregon granted citizenship to a man named Bhagat Singh, an Indian immigrant who had served in the US Army during First World War.
Rajesh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I have to cut you off with your time. If I could remind all of the candidates to please pay attention to Ginger. She is giving you a 1 minute, 30-minute, and a stop time. Thank you.
30 seconds. 1
next-
minute, 30 seconds.
30
1
seconds,
minute,
not
30
30 minutes. Got it, thanks. Next is Mei Liang.
Yeah, I have lived in 3 countries and traveled to 4 continents. And I understand different cultures and have experienced discriminations in different places. I think my job has the most influence on my view on equity. When I was in Columbus, Ohio, I worked in a hospital. I was a nursing aide at that time before I got my nursing license. When a staff nurse knew I was from China and he told me that I'm his enemy. That broke my heart also. But I learned to respect and care about others. I've been a public health nurse for over 15 years. I've served low-income families, single parents families, victims of domestic violence, and clients with drug issues, and clients with mental health issues, and so on. And I understand their struggles, and I'm willing to help people who are needed. And I understand that equity is very important to a society. And the Bible tells us, what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. That's my inspiration to serve. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you to all 4 of you in Group A. Now we will go to Group B. So Rahman, if you could pin Marina, Sapna, Robert, and Saba, and always Ginger. There we go. Give him a minute to do that. And then Shelley, in the meantime, if you can pull out our next question.
Got it. The next question is, what is the role for parent advocacy groups like PDAC in District 204?
Great. Okay, so Marina, you will be first. Please.
Thank you. I believe this is a great example of what parent advocacy groups need to be doing here in District 204, hosting forums like this for people to come together and offer opportunities for everyone in our district to learn more about our candidates. The next 4 years, the 4 people that will be serving on the board will be molding and shaping the education of your children. So thank you to PDAC for doing exactly this. I think it's also important for us to remember that parents are the best advocates for their children. Groups like PDAC, BPAC, IPPC, they are there to help bridge the communication between school and home and offer resources to parents. And I know earlier we saw the who to go to chart that was just created. I actually had seen that earlier when I was looking at the website. And I think that's exactly what our parents need, those kinds of resources to help advocate for their children. It's so important if a parent is having an issue with someone at the school that they're going to the right person, because so much of things getting misinterpreted can be avoided if they go to the right person, and it'll be less time for them to get their problem resolved. So thank you for putting that up. I've also believed that as parents, we are all parents, and as we continue to move forward in this process, that we'll continue to advocate for all of the children of District 204. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Next is Sapna.
I've believe in the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, because we all know that raising children is difficult. It takes a lot of interest, it takes a lot of energy, and it takes that from a lot of individuals in order for a child to fully understand their full potential. I'm thankful for the village that brought me up. And I don't know how I could ever repay them. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running, is because I want to be a part of what makes District 204 a strong village for our children. I view parent advocacy groups as kind of priceless and critical to the strength of our village. You know, here you have our guardians, is what I like to call them. Like, people who are attracted to advocacy groups are individuals that are not just parenting for the interest of their child, but for everyone in the district. So these are our guardians, they're precious. I view parent advocacy groups like PDAC to be somewhat of the crown jewel of our district, right? Where they're amplifying the voices of students, parents, other stakeholders in our district, amplifying their voices, making sure that, you know, decision makers are hearing what needs to be said, and at the same time educating us parents about the inner workings of the district. They're the glue. I sincerely believe that advocacy groups are the glue that holds our district together. So for me, parent advocacy groups are critical in the growth of our district. And if I am on the board, I will be leaning on such advocacy groups for information, for insight in my decision-making process, because it would be a shame not to use their expertise and their knowledge. So I'm proud of the advocacy groups in our district.
Thank you, Sapna. Next is Robert.
Okay. I believe that student success is vitally important, much like evidence-based performance. We all want our children to win. So allow me to quote Aristotle: "Excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny." Perhaps the greatest thing that these groups can do is to make sure that they have equal choice and equal opportunity for all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Saba.
Hey,
Saba,
Saba,
can
you
you
are in mute.
unmute yourself, please?
I think by the end of this forum, I'll figure out that I have to unmute myself before I start talking. And I do this almost on a daily basis, several times each day, and still I'm doing this today. Thank you for your patience. We know that we fear what we do not know and understand. And oftentimes, because we are living in a community, we are living in a place where we are different, we are diverse, and we do not often know enough about each other. And that can be a source of uncertainty. That can be a source of sometimes fear. And that's when PDAC steps in. Groups like PDAC help us learn and understand what it means to be diverse and embrace that diversity, not fear it, not have suspicions, not have uncertainty, but embrace it, because PDAC is helping us bring our diversity and allowing us to embrace that diversity. It is the ongoing work of PDAC. And I envision PDAC doing that in the future as well, that all the members of the 204 community are able to learn to celebrate. We know what our culture is, we know what our history is, but we don't know, we don't have the courage, we don't feel safe to be able to celebrate that rich culture and heritage of our diverse backgrounds and traditions. And we can only achieve that, we can only do that when we work together and build bridges, learn about each other, celebrate each other, and find solutions to the issues that are important to all of us. And PDAC is giving us that platform. PDAC is helping us bridge collaboratively. Its courageous and compassionate leadership has helped eliminate disparities in educational opportunities. PDAC's active role in helping our district adopt equity in its mission is known to all. We are very thankful for PDAC's leadership and what it does to our community. And once elected, I will heavily rely on the guidance of PDAC leadership to direct our district in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Saba. So thank you to all four of you in Group B. The next group will be Group C, which is Allison, Lori, and Shannon. If you can pin those, and then Shelley, if you could let them know their question.
All right, our next question. What 3 concrete steps will you do to advance equity in District 204?
Perfect. The first person is Allison.
All right, thank you. The first step I want to take to advance equity is to listen. Particularly as someone who grew up with every available opportunity. I think it's critical that we create chances and opportunities for marginalized students and families to be heard. I think being heard is underrated. I think we all need to focus more on understanding and hearing what our community members have to say. An example of this would be perhaps to hold a student forum at the high school level, where students of color are disproportionately affected by disciplinary policies. I'd love to hear some student suggestions for solutions and better strategies for these practices. Second, I propose that the district create an equity policy. I know that we have a statement, I know that we have a commitment, but we have an anti-bias policy, we have a bullying prevention policy, we have disciplinary policies. But by narrowing down and committing to an equity policy, we're showing the community that we value equity as strongly as we value these other things. It obligates us to stick to our word and reminds us of our collective responsibility to generate equitable learning opportunities for every student. And finally, I'd like to involve our older students by considering a course offering at the high school level on equity and equality. I think addressing that issue head on with students at that age group who are growing into young adulthood and are going to be building our future community, giving them an opportunity to learn about equity, what that really means, what it looks like, the struggles with it. I think we're better equipping our future community. And I think that's critical. We're making it a more natural, fundamental human right, an expectation for them, and discussing it with them. We're gathering their ideas. And I think that's a valuable investment in our future.
Thank you, Allison. Next is Lori. Lori, you're on mute. Thank you. It's still on mute, Lori.
I didn't say a bad word, okay?
There you go.
Okay, while on the District 204 board, we grew our equity focus. To build top-level guidance, the board created a district equity statement and goals, and even got a state-level position passed related to equity. Other significant actions included approving a cabinet-level equity position, updating curriculums and materials to ensure inclusive representation of our diverse community, improving diversity of our staff, and increasing underrepresented populations in our high school AP classes. These efforts all need to continue. I would like to see an increased attention on ways to intervene at early ages to address the academic gaps. As a board member, I'm committed to collaborating with the administration to develop a strategic framework and process for creating a long-term equity plan. I not only want to see this created, but I also want to see it drive into implementation. I will examine district decisions through an equity lens and identify and remove barriers, ensuring the ability to nurture, grow, and celebrate each one of our students. District 204 equity is an ongoing journey. I'm committed to continue being an active, engaged board member, striving to create an environment that eliminates disparities and embraces our differences.
Thank you, Lori. Next is Shannon.
Thank you. When it comes to equity, the school board should absolutely deploy resources in such a way that every student has access to the same opportunities. What a student does with those opportunities is ultimately determined by the individual. My 3 steps. Number 1, I will strive to ensure each school has the resources needed to nurture the potential of its students, which will include a forensic dive into the assessment of how each school is allocated resources, staff, etc. 2, I will engage with Dr. Talley regarding teacher performance and any opportunities to engage educators regarding resources they may need to maximize instruction. 3, if PDAC or anyone sees an instance of iniquity, you come to me. I will be a loud voice to advocate for the cause, your biggest champion, as I have been these last months for 204 Choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, so now we are going to reset and we're going to kind of go back to Group A. Just to let you know, we want to make sure that we give everybody the same 2 minutes that we had let them know. So we may go over by just a couple of minutes, but just pretend we're in the parking lot after our regular PDAC meeting. So we can hang out hopefully for a couple of minutes. So Group A again, Rahman, and then if you can let us know the question, Shelley.
This is a 2-part question. How do you define the achievement gap? And what do you think are the appropriate responses to the achievement gap?
Great. So this time we will start with Mei Liang first. If you can unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think achievement gap is the difference in academic outcome between groups of students. I believe everyone is unique and precious with their own strengths and weaknesses, physically, mentally, and socially. Family, culture, and school are key factors on students' educational achievement. I would like to use my son as an example. My son was not able to say any words before age 3, and he did not receive any speech therapy since we moved frequently at that time. So he was a child with language special need at kindergarten and 1st grade. And after he moved back to regular class, I pay more attention on his language development. And at home, I gave him extra homeworks, such as Wordy Wide 3000 to help him reading before he went to high school. Actually, he hated my homework. When he was 13, one day he came to me and threw the Wordy Wide 3000 homework in front of me and said, "Wait until I'm 18. I will leave this home without your homework." I responded, "Just do the homework." And then I also gave him incentive for the homeworks. And later, when he was at the end of a junior year, he got his first ACT score was 35. And now he's an engineering graduate student of UofI. Hard working pays off. They may not like that when they were young. However, I don't think a school can replace the role of family, but school should respect the students' and parents' choice.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Raj.
This time I remember to unmute myself. So the achievement gap is the disparity in academic performance, between different groups of students. There could be different reasons for achievement gap. Usually it's some issue at home. So how do we solve, or how do we get to where we try to close the gap, or at least narrow the gap? I think a close cooperation between schools, parents, and the community is one of the key to closing achievement gaps. parent involvement has a strong direct impact on student achievement. And you know, the quality parent-children time has actually become a luxury item in America. The parents with 2, 3 different jobs, and then they cannot spend time with the kids. Financially privileged ones can spend time with the kids, you know. So we need to understand the external factors that's impacting learning. And if the situation at home that's hampering, let's think from the school board perspective how we can solve that. So we need to keep an open mind and assumptions about students. If possible, we should focus on the personalized learning, try to motivate and engage the students. We need to teach them through texts and topics that are culturally relevant to them because we have students from all backgrounds. And of course, we need to have evidence-based education, which will have supplemental education. We monitor the students' progress and then work on the students individually in a personalized way based on the parameters which we get back from the performance monitoring.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Next is Kader.
Thank you, Sally. And I also remembered to make sure I unmute myself. Hey, you know, I want to start with this, but I had a privilege where my wife was a Montessori school teacher, right? And that just amazed me, like how they look at kids and how they make sure that the achievement gap doesn't come in, so they have customized learning. That was important. And I'll tell you my personal story. And I think a lot of people are going to laugh at this. So I actually failed 8th grade, right? My school said, this guy's worthless. He can't fit the curriculum. So you know what? They failed me. And today I'm an MBA graduate from Northwestern University. I'm a CTO of a company, right? So, you know, and the reason why that happened was my parents did not kind of give up and say, okay, this guy doesn't fit a school mode on this curriculum, so we need to kind of get him out of school. Rather, they sat with me, understood what was my challenge, and they figured out that the curriculum that I just not a memorizing guy. I just don't want to memorize and repeat it back. I want to learn and understand and foundationally build it to be able to respond back, right? So that was an important kind of lesson personally for me, which was important to kind of make sure that how do we work with their students, right? Because for me, you know, for lack of better word, a customized curriculum is something that we need to focus on with our kids, right? For me, one of the things that always comes to my picture is, you know, there's a tall kid and there's a shorter kid, and they're trying to look over a wall. Now, you know, do you give them same set of tools or the same size and say, this is your curriculum you build in? Or for the tall kid, give them a smaller stool so they can see over. And for the shorter kid, give them a larger tool, but you're putting both of them on a pedestal of a stool to kind of be able to look at it, right? That is how I actually look at curriculum to be able to kind of drive and achieve this achievement gap that we are kind of working on, right? Because there's so many different types of parents, which is something that we need to focus on trying to drive the gap smaller. So that, thank you.
Thank you, Kader. Thank you. And last in our group is Susan. Susan, please.
Here.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, there I go. Do this every day, but the academic achievement gap often is described as disparity between the higher income level and lower economic level students and children. But we can see the achievement gap from a variety of ways. It can be a difference between those who are English language learners, certainly according to racial lines, but as well students with disabilities. It is imperative for us to not only talk about it from an academic standpoint, but many times it's begun to be looked at from an opportunity standpoint. So what are the opportunity gaps that some various students face or are provided or not provided within school? What are the resources that some students may need in order to bring them to the same level that other students are at? We must, from a school standpoint, continue to look at, from a board view, what are the resources that we need to ensure that we're providing our Title I schools? What are the resources that we're providing for our students who may not have those same type of access to academic standards as other students within our schools? So it's imperative for us to make sure that we're looking at it from a variety of lenses, not just racial lens, not just an economic lens, but also English language learners again, as well as those students with disabilities. And then look to ensure that we can provide those proper resources for students. Look at it from a data perspective. What types of things do we know where our students starting? And then look at whatever time frame we feel that we can make sure that an improvement can be made. Have we been successful? Do we need to provide other resources to continue that success moving forward? Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. So our next group will be Group B again, Saba, Robert, Sapna, and Marina. And Shelley, can you please pick a question for them?
Next question is, how should equity be part of our curriculum?
Thank you. And we will start this time with Saba. Go ahead, Saba. You can start. He'll pin everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that question. That's a great question, and exactly what PDAC and our school district is trying to move in the direction of. Including equity in our curriculum starts at embracing the idea that fight for equity has to be everyone's fight. It isn't only a fight for those who are at the receiving end of this. It has to be a fight for everyone's fight. And in order for us to be able to do that, we have to work collectively to make equity a part of our curriculum. We have to be able to make our teachers the ambassadors of equity in our schools and elsewhere, because they are our representative. We want to be able to give teachers effective and tangible tools so they can implement equity in education, which is of utmost importance. Teaching tolerance, bias-free language, social engagement campaigns in middle school and high school level. This is the need of the hour, and we need to start working. We have been working, and we need to continue to work on these issues. We need to find ways to keep each student engaged. We have to understand that equity spreads across different fields and different topics. We have to keep our students engaged and learning. And one of the best ways we can do that is when we implement project-based learning or real-life scenarios that children can apply in their knowledge towards. Incorporating books that reflect the diversity of our community and its practices. We can learn from young leaders like Marley Diaz. And if you haven't heard about it, I highly encourage you to Google her. Her mission of 1,000 Black Girl Books movement has taken, a few years ago, taken the world by storm. We need to encourage our students to be those leaders in our district and in our community. These are some of the things that we can do to incorporate equity. All right, I've seen the red card. This is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Saba.
You're welcome.
We have Robert.
Okay, very good question. I am looking at some information right now, and it's done by the Harvard Business School. And they are looking at how to resolve some of these equity issues. And they're using their case studies. They're redesigning a lot of their case studies now to look at the progenitor versus the antagonist. They're saying that more of our curriculum should look like the protagonist, but also from a gender and also from a color or a cultural standpoint. In my classes, I've introduced people like Indra Nooyi, the former president of PepsiCo. I would love to have the opportunity to introduce Kamala Harris, our VP, in our classroom, or even someone like Sally Josie in our classroom. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Next is Sapna.
So the way I think about the curriculum and equity is that equity is the foundation for all academic initiatives. And so our attack should be multifaceted. And we need to first start with our teachers. I'm a huge proponent of hiring and retaining staff and educators that reflect the diversity of our district. Why? Because representation matters. I did some calculations this past year, and I had over 2,100 instructors in my life. And I can tell you that only 5 of them were teachers of color. I don't think it's a coincidence that the most profound and influential instructors in my life happen to be 3 of those 5. Why? Because they could see me as a student in a way that others could not. Right? And that was profound and important. So representation matters. It not only matters for the student that looks like me or a different color, it also matters for the student that belongs to the more dominant culture. Why? Because that may be their first or worse, last interaction with a member from that community. So if we want to do service to our children, we need to set them up for success for the future, which is entering an increasingly more diverse world. Secondly, I think our instructors need more implicit bias training and training on culturally responsive pedagogy, which myself as an educator, I seek out and learn so much from. I also think we need to re-examine our curriculum, right? Because as someone who teaches intercultural communication, we know that there are the mainstream stories, but we also know there's the hidden stories. Right? The hidden stories that share the truths of our nation and our world. And that certainly is one of the ways that I would approach equity in the curriculum. I know that if I'm on the board, that equity would be the lens that I use to examine any proposal with regard to curriculum.
Thank you. Thank you, Sapna. Marina, you can mute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. We need to promote instruction that is culturally relevant for all of our students. It should not exclude any race, origin, or ethnicity. And that has shown, when it is done correctly in the classroom, that it increases engagement among students by helping them feel connected to not only the curriculum, but to the other students that are in that classroom. It also creates opportunities for conversations on different perspectives. And in this day and age, it is so important for our teachers to be demonstrating the respect of other people's opinions. By allowing this culturally relevant curriculum into our classrooms, you're opening so many doors and windows for students to express themselves and for other students to learn that just because their opinion may be different, it's okay. I am also a huge proponent of student voice. Once inside the classroom, instead of the teacher telling the students, these are the rules that we are going to live by in this classroom, have the students come up with the norms for that classroom. That will once again provide that voice that make it meaningful for all the students to be a part of that classroom. So as we move forward in promoting equity in Indian Prairie School District 204, we have to remember that our teachers are also going to need the professional development in order to make sure that all of this is being done to the best of their abilities in each and every classroom in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. So we are going to our last set of questions, or last group and last question. Group C, Shannon, Lori, and Allison. And Shelley, if you can pick the last question.
Certainly. The last question is, a significant portion of our community are English language learner participants or have children with special needs. How can we best serve these student populations?
Great. And our first speaker is Shannon.
Thank you. After announcing my candidacy, I first heard from parents of special needs students and their educators. They were incredibly candid regarding their disappointments with district leadership and were the first to heartbreakingly and tangibly document regression in their children. I had hoped our district would be all in back in August by being equitable and giving hybrid choice to all students. I firmly believe the pathway to serve all of our district students, whether English language students or special needs students, should be the same. In the words of Angela Duckworth, if we want our children to have a shot at a productive and satisfying life, we adults should make it our mission to provide them with the two things all children deserve: challenges to exceed what they were able to do yesterday, and the support that makes that growth possible. I believe District 204 has the staff and resources to give all students what they need for growth. However, if it is determined that needs aren't being met, I will be right there to champion for the cause, as I have been these months regarding 204 choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Next is Lori.
So we absolutely do have a high population. We have 11.1% of our district students are English language learners, and over 115 different languages are spoken in our students' homes. So another 11.4 are identified as our special education students. Both of these groups are significant populations who require special attention and intervention. Our district has a positive reputation for supporting their needs and their families. For our ELL students, we have specialized instructors in place with a comprehensive set of tools available to provide sheltered support for students as they gain English language proficiency. We should continually be researching best practices and tools for helping our ELL students swiftly gain proficiency. With our special needs students, specific plans are put in place, implemented, and regularly reviewed to address the unique needs and accommodations required to allow our students to reach their full potential. Our specialized counselors and therapists should be equipped with the latest tools, professional development to bring innovative approaches to supporting these students. We need to continue to look for ways to support these groups who require special attention. We need to include and embrace our ELL and special needs and our general school population. They bring opportunities for everyone to learn and grow from students who are different from themselves. I consider this a critically important building global empathetic students.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. And to end our discussion today with Allison.
Okay. After college, I was lucky to be able to volunteer at the College of DuPage in their People Educating People program. They offered free ESL classes, as they called them at the time, to working adults who went to work all day or parented their children all day, and then came to class in the evenings. They were the most dedicated students I've ever had, and they opened my eyes to some of the challenges that ELL learners have. Some of those things I think are similar and stretch across to students in our district as well as ELL learners. As far as special needs students, there are children in my extended family who have special needs. So I've been able to witness some of their unique challenges and struggles. And that's given me, I think, an extra dose of empathy towards these unique groups of students. I think as a district, after we're careful to make sure that we do an identification of each ELL or special needs students' individual needs, that a combination, if possible, of a self-contained classroom environment and inclusion in a regular classroom environment benefits all students. In particular, from my own experience, I know that for ELL students, immersion in an English-speaking classroom significantly speeds up their language acquisition and their skills. I also think it's valuable for all students, right, to learn about our differences and to see that we're really more alike than we are different. An additional way we can serve these students is by making sure that we focus on hiring staff and teachers who are well-trained in these areas, who are specialized in these areas to provide these students with the extra support they need to succeed.
Thank you, Allison. So on behalf of PDAC and our entire community, we still have close to 100 people on this call today. I would like to thank all of you for coming, and I would, from the bottom of our hearts, thank all of you for running. There will be many opportunities, I'm sure, in the future to learn more about each one of you, and we welcome that opportunity. The IPPC event with the League of Women Voters is coming up. Your websites are there, your social media is there, so I really encourage each and every one of you listening. Local elections are important. Your children, if they are in your school district or if you are in the school district, please take the time to learn about each candidate, their platform, their values, and vote for who resonates with you. Again, on behalf of PDAC, thank you for coming tonight. We look forward to having many of you join us in February for our discussion of the book Stamped. Thank you and good night.
Wow, we got 25 minutes still. Siley, we never finish early.
No, it's 8:30, Mark.
The heck?
Yeah, the meeting is at ended today at 8:30.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Be well.
Nice job, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the recording.
Yes, you can end the recording, Ramon.